The others are three different kinds of what are called topological defects, places where the fields in spacetime get knotted up. At the moment, the observations are not good enough to distinguish between these different kinds of maps. But new observations in the next few years may settle the question. This is an exciting time in cosmology. My money is on inflation and the no-boundary condition. It is such an elegant explanation, I am sure God would have chosen it.
I come to the final point of Professor Hawking's view, which is that God would have chosen the non-existent boundary proposal. In the face of such a sensitive conclusion, contemporary man must pay careful attention and endeavor to understand the way of conceiving a model of the universe by a creator God. The primary and basic question is this: would an all-powerful God construct a mortal universe? In other words, a universe powerless to be immortal? Or perhaps an all-powerful God constructed an all-powerful universe with absolute sovereignty and control over matter and space-time? If the all-powerful God permits the non-existence of frontiers of a material universe, which is continuously opening, what prevents us from supposing that the centrifugal tendency of the galaxies is a result of attraction by extra-universal gravitational phenomena, within whose active framework the universe is absorbed, so as to return to its initial quantum state, playing once again the same role on the stage of creation?
Σήμερα λοιπόν, όταν διάφοροι επιστήμονες θεωρούν...
Today, when various scientists consider that it is time to posit again the cosmological constant, which for different reasons Einstein had posited in his equations to halt the expansion in some way, today there is a different view that we need this cosmological constant in order to explain, as a type of anti-gravity, and I use this term with great care, to explain the acceleration of expansion.
Για να επεξηγηθεί η επιτάχυνση της διαστολής.
If we suppose that the beginning of time is a well, can that well continuously empty without some mechanism for refilling it? Is perhaps the beginning of creation continuous, functioning in a system of evolution and devolution, in a large cycle in whose center stands man? Perhaps a newer interpretation of the general theory of relativity, which involves a continuous beginning, in the beginning and end of time, proves to us that the universe reproduces itself endogenously ad infinitum.
I cannot understand how a perfect God will create a world that will vanish someday. Then it's not perfect. So I have questions. I do not know whether I answer your question. Do I believe that whatever science says is true? No, science can answer parts, not the whole of the question.
Stephen Hawking writes in his last book that we should try to understand the beginning of the universe on the basis of science. Perhaps this goal is beyond our abilities, but we ought at least to try. I absolutely agree with Professor Hawking's view. What requires special attention is for us to comprehend what science is and which sciences we need to employ to understand the universe. The sciences are physics, chemistry, astronomy, astrophysics, mathematics, geometry, geology, medicine, law, sociology, anthropology, psychology, psychometrics, theology, and others.
The most significant of all the sciences is philosophy, because without it, all the other sciences cannot be comprehended, and also because it is based on logic, which is the absolute expression of the human intellect. I believe that any claim to have understood the universe solely by means of astrophysics and mathematical science will be exceedingly deficient.
The understanding of the universe must first of all be relative to man and God. In other words, with all the sciences taken together. Every scientific phenomenon, because chance does not exist, plays a special role in its identification with man, as well as the creator of the phenomenon. This is the position of the anthropic principle. On this board, we see a man who is composed of matter and spirit, in other words, soul, in a universe which itself is composed of matter and spirit, in other words, soul. The speed of light can be immediately identified with the speed of the soul, for it has been scientifically demonstrated that the soul is light. When we speak of a journey by a light packet in space-time, we can easily think of that packet as a soul which travels. When we think of journeys in a curved space-time of a region of the universe, we always mean a journey by photons, which could even be souls that were entangled in a vortex of curved space-time. If we do not exclude such a possibility, we can imagine a soul, which is living in a continuous now, at the center of two opposite time flows. This condition could be thought of as static in one sense of eternity, relieved totally of the vibrations of an oscillating universe, in which the time arrow continuously points to the future. If the internal structure of the soul makes it respond positively to such a continuous static state, then the soul could live in eternal happiness. Of course, I must confess that the thought frightens me of what would follow it if the soul were to fall into a black hole. If we could see with the eyes of insight a universe whose material action is enacted in a quantum state in a world of souls, which would inhabit the universe from end to end, then we can speak of religion. Religion is the means of communication of man with God. In this simplistic model, I will boldly present a probable religious standpoint, the union of man and his soul with the divine world. Cosmogony may not be cosmography. However, cosmography explains cosmogony in its esoteric form, which refers to numbers and equations. The esoteric interpretation of cosmogony belongs to spirit, to divinity itself, because the philosophical interpretation of the cosmos, as well as the basic of the anthropic principle, the ancient Greek maxim holds, man is the measure of all things. In the center of the concentric circles, we place man, who is surrounded by the solar system. The next circle refers to our galaxy. The third circle represents the observable as well as the unobservable universe, with all the manifestations of matter and space-time, beyond which the laws are completely unknown. The last circle is the belt, the logos, there where infrared is absorbed by white, there where movement is absorbed by the unmoved mover, where matter is absorbed by spirit, and through divine transmutation turns again to the universal center from which it came, subject to the law of becoming. Matter tends towards spirit. This is religion.
Η επιστήμη